Jalaluddin Rumi, the great Muslim mystic and poet, writes, "You were born with potential. You were born with goodness. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. Learn to use them and fly." A few years ago, I was invited to participate in a visioning and long-range planning session for a public library. About 30 or so of us from the community gathered in the upstairs community room to reminisce about libraries, all those wonderful memories of libraries over the years, and also to envision how libraries can remain vital and necessary in our often disconnected society. And at that meeting, I learned something. I learned something that reconfirmed my Unitarian Universalist belief that potential goodness exists in all people. In talking with one of the librarians, I mentioned that I was surprised that the library did not charge fines for books that are overdue. I asked, doesn't that take off the pressure to be responsible and return the books on time? With no fine to keep me honest, wouldn't I just keep the book for as long as I wanted to? The librarian's response surprised me. They said, "Our books and films have a higher on-time return rate without charging an overdue fine than when we charged an overdue fine." Yeah. In short, when you trusted the best in people, some of those people did not disappoint you. When you believed in the best of people, some of those people embodied that and lived out their best selves. Because the library trusted in people, people learned that they could trust in themselves. We need places like that library, places that believe in the potential goodness inside people. We need places like this church, places that believe in the potential goodness inside people. We need places like this church, this caring, beautiful, imperfect Unitarian Universalist church community, a place made up of different beliefs, different backgrounds, different ages, different spiritual needs, but a place where our unity is so much more encompassing than our differences, a place that puts love at the center of our shared lives, a place that actively engages us in the transformation of the world through liberating love. Now, yes, perhaps our vision for who we want to be might be a bit grander than we can yet embody. The actuality of being a multiracial, multicultural, and anti-racist beloved community hasn't yet caught up to our aspirations and our dreams. But you know, we need places that allow us to practice being who we are intended to be. We need places that allow us to practice being who we were created to be. We need a place to help recall us to our best selves again. A place that reminds us as Rumi once did, that we were born with potential. We were born with goodness. We were born with ideals and dreams. We were born with wings. We are not meant for crawling, so don't. We have wings. Let us learn to use them and fly. Would you say that with me, please? We were born with potential. We were born with goodness. We were born with ideals and dreams. We were born with wings. We are not meant for crawling, so don't. We have wings. Let us learn to use them and fly. There's an old spiritual story that's been told in many, many ways over many, many centuries in many, many different cultures. Perhaps you know it. The version that I'm going to share is liberally, of course it's liberally adapted, from a book by author M. Scott Peck. Like all good stories, it begins with once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. In this galaxy, a monastery fell on really hard times. It was once this vibrant place, but because of persecution from haters, there were only 5 monks left in that decaying building. The abbess, or the head of the monastery, and 4 others named Santana, Jan, Onyx, and Kai. Clearly, it was a dying place. Now, in the deep woods that surrounded that monastery, where there was a little hut that an imam, a Muslim spiritual leader, occasionally used as a hermitage, a refuge, a get away from it all and think and pray kind of place. It occurred to the abbess of the monastery that a visit to the imam might result in some good advice that might save that monastery. So the imam welcomed the abbess to the hut. But when the abbess explained the reason for the visit, the imam said, I know how it is. The spirit has gone out of the people. It's the same in my town. Almost no one comes to the mosque or the synagogue or to the temple. So the old abbess and the old imam wept together. Then they read parts of their different scriptures together, learning from their different perspectives, and they spoke of deep things. When the abbess had to leave, they said, "It has been wonderful that we should meet after all these years, but I failed in my purpose for coming here. Is there nothing you can tell me that would help me save the dying monastery?" "No, I'm sorry," the imam responded. "I have no advice to give. But I can tell you that one of you is the bearer of sacred light. One of you is a Messiah, a chosen one." Like Harry Potter was a chosen one. So, when the abbess returned to the monastery, the monks gathered around and asked, "What did the imam say?" The abbess responded, "That imam said something very mysterious. It was something cryptic. The imam said that one of us is a bearer of sacred light. One of us is a Messiah, a chosen one, just like Harry Potter was a chosen one. But I don't really know what they meant." In the time that followed that mysterious saying, the monks wondered about the significance of those words. One of us is the bearer of sacred light. Could the imam possibly have meant one of us monks? And if so, which one? They all began to speculate. Do you suppose it's the abbess? Yeah, if the imam meant anyone, it probably was our abbess. They have been our leader for more than a generation. They're so wise and so patient. On the other hand, they may have meant the abbess's assistant, Santana. Certainly, Santana is a holy person. Everyone knows that Santana is a person of light. The wondering continued. Certainly, we know the imam could not have meant the monk Jan. Jan gets crotchety at times and is a real pain in the... But come to think of it, even though Jan is a thorn in everybody's side, when you look back on it, Jan is virtually always right. Often very right. Maybe the imam did mean Jan, but surely not Onyx. Onyx is so passive, a real nobody. But then, almost mysteriously, Onyx has a gift for always being there when you need them. They just magically appear. Maybe Onyx is the bearer of sacred light, a Messiah, a chosen one, like Harry Potter was a chosen one. Or could it be Kai? Kai is so quiet, kind of boring, and always in the background, but Kai is so very kind. They notice what needs to be done, and they do it quietly without drawing any attention to it. Maybe Kai is the bearer of light. Then, one by one, in each of their individual monk cells, they looked in the mirror at their own reflection and thought, of course, the imam didn't mean me. They couldn't possibly have meant me. I'm just an ordinary person with a lot of problems. Yet, supposing the imam did. Suppose I am a bearer of light. Oh God, not me. I couldn't be that, could I? As they contemplated together, the abbess, Santana, Jan, Onyx, and Kai, they began to treat each other with extraordinary compassion and respect on the off chance that one of them might be the bearer of sacred light. And then, get this, they began to treat their own self with extraordinary compassion and respect, just in case they themselves were the bearer of light. Now, during that time, they occasionally came to visit the monastery to picnic on its spacious lawn. And as they did so, they sensed this new aura of extraordinary compassion and respect that began to surround the 5 monks and seemed to just radiate out from them and permeate the atmosphere of the place. There was something strangely compelling about it. Hardly knowing why, people began to come back again and again to the monastery to picnic, to play, sometimes even to pray. They brought their friends to that special place, and sometimes their friends brought their friends, sort of like bring a friend Sunday. Then, some of the younger people who came to visit the monastery started to talk more and more with the old monks. After a while, one of them asked if they could join them, and then another and another. So within a few years, the monastery had once again become a thriving place. Thanks to the imam's gift, the monastery became a vibrant center of light, goodness, and spirituality. When we look at each other, what do we see? When we look at each other, who do we see? Do we see each other as bearers of light, a chosen one, like Harry Potter was a chosen one? Do we see each other as human embodiments of our flaming chalice, bearing the light of love, compassion, respect, and transformation? When we speak to each other, do we speak that language of love that crosses over all borders and boundaries? Unitarian Universalists have always believed in the potential goodness inside people. We call no one a sinner. We say that no person born into this world is stained with original sin. Unitarian Universalists proclaim original blessing. Original blessing. Can we say those two words together? Original blessing. We believe each person should have the right and opportunity to blossom within that blessing. Each person should have the right and opportunity to inhabit their inherent dignity and worthiness. And we're not naive. We know that many people are never offered the right or opportunity to inhabit their inherent dignity and worthiness. Circumstances rob too many of that opportunity. Power and greed cause far too many to hoard and limit that opportunity. Far too people are never shown that they have potential goodness within them. Far too many people have never heard the words, "How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful?" That's why, all the way back in 1770, John Murray, one of the great American prophets of Unitarian Universalism, challenged us, saying, "You may possess only a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of people. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Do not push them deeper into their despair, but preach kindness and everlasting love." Can we say that last line together? Preach kindness and everlasting love. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to actively engage in the transformation of the world through liberating love. And I'm going to say that again. As Unitarian Universalists, as chalices shining in this world, we are called to actively engage in transforming the world through the liberating love, through offering liberating love. As Gretchen Haley reminds us, open the door to your hesitant heart. Let the light shine out on all the sleeping shadows. Awaken to this gift, this chance, this opportunity. My dear ones, the news is good. We are bearers of a sacred light. May we open the doors of our hesitant hearts and let our light shine. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.